The bad thing is, I am going to talk about something that only Google talk about at I/O apparently. So I know you might be thinking, why even do this? But I promise you, I'm not trying to sell you anything, I'm not trying to pitch anything. I just want to talk about how me, a very, 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 very stubborn Android engineer of 12 years, decided to use AI in my workflow. So if this helps you guys, great. If it doesn't, sorry, I have nothing else for you. So let's set the scene. So here at Checkatrade, we like to remain as clean as possible with our architecture. So we have a mixture of clean architecture and MVI. And with that comes with a lot of other bits. So we have multi-modules. We have a repository module. We've got core modules, data source modules, feature modules, pretty much anything you can think of. Maybe the naming conventions are wrong. I don't have a module that says pizza, which I should, but who knows, maybe in the future. And then with that, we also care about our testing. And one thing that we have at Checkatrade a lot that we kind of take pride of is our code coverage on testing. And it's something that we try and do a lot. But then that means we've got a lot of tests. Our view models are filled with countless mock setups. Our use case and repositories use a bunch of repetitive patterns. Our mappers are tedious and use the same thing. Our Compose UI has the same, our Compose UI screenshot testing has the same repetitive robot for every screen. And the result of this is just soul-crushing, repeat bloat code that I'd never want to do for the rest of my life, but that's the joys of what we do today. Now, a show of hands, who really cares about building complex UIs in Android? One person, thank you. Who likes to focus more on architectural patterns and things like that? A few people, I like that. Who likes writing bloat code? Okay, my talk is fine. So I decided that I'm going to try agent mode because I want to stop writing bloat code or repetitive code or anything else that you see. I want to stop, I don't know, as an example, my repository class having the same check for the assertion, and the only thing that's different is the API service I'm testing against. So I was like, okay, going to use it agent mode. And what triggered this was when Google announced Gemini in Android Studios, agent mode. Really enjoyed it. Cool. At Checkatrade, we then brought on Cursor and Copilot, so I played with those, really liked what it was doing. I was asking it things like, write me a test for this class. It would do it. Admittedly, don't hold this against me for the rest of your lives, please. This is my first talk. I even got it to say, can you please fix this detect issue because I cannot be bothered to find out where the hell to do this. I did it, I don't care, sue me, it's fine. And I was shocked, it did it. It was like, yeah, this is the solution, clearly, because it's quite easy to figure out. But then that honeymoon phase ended fast, and it was like having a sous chef who knew how to chop onions, but did not know how to make a whole meal, which is really awkward, because I don't just want onions for dinner. The agent needed constant hand-holding. It didn't know our project conventions. It suggested code that looked technically correct, but felt completely wrong for our architecture. I would spend countless times berating it, shouting at it, really telling it off, and then being like, I shouldn't do this because they will completely take over and we will have a Terminator Skynet situation. I should be a bit nicer to them. But they were always nice to me, always telling me I'm right, and they'll make those changes now. Which then shortly follows by, as you can see, my agent freaked out all the time and just kept saying, I'm done. I actually posted this on Reddit because I was like, this is hilarious. And it got many upvotes. I am very famous now. I realized that giving it unrestricted access to our code base was, with a single simple prompt, is like giving a toddler a crayon and just telling it to go decorate the whole house. Not what you want in life. I mean, you might if that's your artistic choice. It's not mine. Yeah. So I decided that this was the turning point. I've had enough of inconsistent output for what I thought was simple prompts on giving it what I needed it to do. I realized that local ad hoc rules that I had sitting in my computer weren't doing the right job, so I needed to get a little bit extra. I needed to find something more robust. What could I have done to make this better? I needed to build something that showed the AI what I wanted to do, or match my vibe, not its vibe. So the step one of this, I did a bit of research and I decided I'm going to create some sacred texts, which, if people don't know, is essentially, in my case, was the agent's MD file. I considered this the 10 commandments of code generation. I gave it strict purpose statements, mapped out its exact capabilities, and crucially linked specific code generation tasks to specific reference files in our project. If it needed a repository unit, if it needed to create me a repository unit test, it needs to follow the unit tests I've made in my repository, because that's the style I want it to be. I also, which was very important because I went through a lot of issues on this, I don't know if anyone else has, I started telling it what not to do. So I had an issue where basically I let cursor just run and it was in YOLO mode for some reason. Don't know why. Natural thing on by default for some reason. To create me some stuff. Next thing I know, it's changed my Gradle setup, changed my JVM target, tried to bump up my AGP somewhere else, and I just went, what the hell are you doing? And then I actually messaged my co-workers at the time and was like, guys, I think the project's broken. And they went, no, it's compiling. It's like, it's not for me. Must be you, mate. It's like, I don't know what's going on. Anyone had this before? Anyone trust AI this much? Okay, fine. There's a couple of nods. I'm quite happy with that. So I set some things and telling it what not to do, because I don't want to spend my Friday evenings fixing it, basically. Step 2 was to create a comprehensive style guide. We documented our Kotlin idioms, enforced strict null safety, essentially yelling at it to never use double bang operators, because they're never fun. If anyone knows why they've put those in there, please tell me. And documented for detect exemptions. For instance, I do have quite long parameters in my composables, and I don't like detect telling me off, so I either ignore it or change those. I got my agent to make sure that they get ignored. Don't at me on it, that's me. And then the most critical step is that I realized that AI learns by example, not by inferring patterns from messy legacy code base, basically finding that bang middle average that it's seen on Stack Overflow, thinking that that's the correct answer, because everyone knows Stack Overflow is not the place to get your references from unless you want to get shouted at every day. If you feed it garbage, it's going to give you garbage. I took the time to manually write pristine examples of every type of code I wanted generated in my style. This became the baseline, and this is an example that I use in our projects that we have today. So I spent a lot more time having my project how I wanted it, and then getting my agent to match that when I wanted something else done in that style. Finally, custom instructions. Instead of, thinking, oh yeah, you've got dependency injection in here, I'm going to put a dagger module. Why are you going to do that? No. I use hilt, make sure you use hilt. No magic numbers. This created a very strict sandbox for my agent to play in. Once this was set up, the difference was night and day. Before, I'd ask for a test and get JUnit 5 tests for some reason. Now, we use JUnit 4 here, by the way. Now I have JUnit 4 tests, missing base classes and terrible mock setups, now are all fixed. I'd spend 30 minutes fixing it. After the system, I'd ask for a test based on my contacts view model, and it would generate something based on another view model of a similar style. All I had to do was review it, make sure it's all good, and then go grab a coffee pretending I've worked for 5 hours. My bosses aren't here, it's fine.
It's recording.
I won't send it to them, it's okay. So, to wrap up on my talk here, my core lessons I learned with using AI agents is it's garbage in and garbage out. You feed it garbage, it's going to give you garbage. Spend more time to create your perfect reference files that you want it to build for you. And writing the agent's MD file, for example, took me half a day to get set up the way I wanted it to be, because I've got different view models, hoisting states in different ways and all that stuff. But once it was done, like, I could test a whole module in like 5 minutes. It was the best, and it was to the code quality that me and my team adhered to. Where was I? Sorry. Tell the agent what it can't do. That's a big key thing that I think is a takeaway that I've seen a lot of other people not do. Constraints prevent catastrophes. Enforce trust, but verify and treat the agent like a child that's still learning the ropes. I tend to use my agent as like a postgraduate engineer to kind of handle things, and I will tackle it that way. And lastly, the future's collaborative. I don't see a way that we're going to leave this AI era in the sense of we shouldn't be fearful of what they're going to do. We should get it to work the way that we want it to work. I have it in the sense that, you know, it does the boring boilerplate stuff that I don't want it to do, so I can sit and focus on the things that I like, such as complex UIs. That's my favorite thing. Like, how can I get this thing to work the nicest? And then the detect stuff, I get it to sort out because I can't be bothered. Yeah, I spent so much time, such less time on the boilerplate stuff, and just far more time on that user experience. And the agents handle the paint by numbers I tell it to paint by. Yeah, I feel it's not humans versus AI, it's both of us working together. And yeah, that's the end of what I have. I'll take some questions. Any questions from anyone?
Any questions?
Yeah, it's working.
So you mentioned having come up with like gold standard examples and giving those to the AI.
Yeah.
Have you found that those are also useful to give to like other team members and junior developers as well? Because it feels like those are things that would be nice to have anyway, but also kind of they do also help the AI.
Yeah, I do feel like we have that. So the way that we've set it up here, so in Checkatrade, we are a team of senior engineers. We don't have mid or junior levels here. We are, like the Android team is a team of senior engineers. So I wanted to find a way on how I can share these rules and restrictions amongst our projects. At the time, when you could have rules and stuff from Cursor or Claude, it was very localized to your coding style, whereas the agents was something that was a lot more recommended to commit into Git. So I went with that method instead. But yeah, no, it would be something that I would also spend time doing that. It's just because here at Checkatrade, we're having a big boost on utilizing AI, and I wanted to find a way for it to work for me and not keep berating something.
Any other questions?
Yeah, nice talk, thank you. So, imagine a situation that you ask AI to modify a 3D class and it accidentally changes the behavior that it should not have changed. If you have good tests, those will fail. But if you tell the AI to fix the tests, what I found is that it will change the test to conform to the new behavior that is wrong. Do you know a solution to this problem?
Don't use AI. No, honestly, it's something I've not come across just yet in that sort of mindset. I don't have an answer for that one.
Any other questions? Oh, I think we just going.
You can throw it, it's soft enough.
Hello.
Hi.
So when making the agents themselves, have you noticed much difference between how they react and respond when you're going between different models, or how you're changing up the SQLITs or every markdown files, and how to actually respond and react between different models, or?
No, so with the agents MD file, that at some point became a bit more of the standard of what all these providers and stuff were using. So I found it I wanted something, because at Checkatrade, especially in our team, we all use different stuff. So I personally like Firebender as my agent. I know people in the team that like RuCode or just Cursor as itself, and they all share that same markdown file, which for them is just, it improves because it's basically going, okay, this is what I need to look at before I then do this. And we haven't come across that much of a problem so far, but it might happen if there's something that goes, we don't want to use Agents MD. I then need to find the solution to change that.
Okay, so it's a bit more universal and transferable across different.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to. I wanted to find something that would do that, because we have just too many different things here.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
Oh.
Hello, so I'm Moj, I'm a colleague of Bilal. I guess like a year ago, I would assume probably like most of us never used AI to write code. But like now, I think probably everyone in this room has used AI to write code. I want to do a bit of like in-person analytics, I guess. So I guess hands up if like 50% or more of your code is written with AI. Okay, super interesting, okay. Hands up if it's 80% or more. Okay, hands up if it's 100%. 2 people, okay. So I want to hand the mic over to you two, and it'll be really interesting to just pick your brain and let us know what has worked for you. I think it'll be really informative, really informative for the group.
It's at the top.
I don't know which way to face.
Sorry, point on.
Yeah, you did. I work for DataCamp. I work for a team that takes care of payments and subscriptions. A lot of our work is, spread throughout different systems, and I personally, the whole company at the moment uses Cloud Code, and we just have MCPs for everything really. And what doesn't have an MCP, we have an API for. So we basically have had the same sort of push that Bilal mentioned recently to use more AI, and essentially we just tell Cloud Code what to do and to go investigate issues in whatever logs or Sentry or in our BigQuery, I think I've written code maybe twice in the last month or two, and it was collecting a line or two because I thought it's quicker than just prompting the AI to do it. But generally, I'm now, a manager of AI agents rather than a natural developer.
And then do you have like a rule set or anything for it, or do you just vibe your way through and just trust the process?
There is some flexibility. We all have our own agents. Those are not committed. The agent MD, we do have some shared repositories with skills and plugins that we can use that are, skills in particular that are useful either across your team or across the whole of the company. Generally each one has found their own sort of environment. We're still in a very exploratory sort of phase of this new adoption of AI. And some people are definitely, getting ahead of others, and so we're trying to learn from those people. We have a channel on Slack where we essentially share tips and tricks and ask for how other people are integrating with certain tools or using certain tools to their advantage.
and that's about it. I don't know who to check this to. What was the other person? I just think it's handy for like, I guess, I realize we don't really share enough. I think everyone's on their own independent journey when it comes to AI. Some people, barely use it. Some use it 100% of the time. So I think it's, I think it's good just to have these kind of forums to discuss, talk about tips and tricks. What do you find useful? Bilal uses Firebender. I use Rue Code. Some use Claude Code, Cursor. So yeah, super interesting. And I think, like you've got like skills, and you mentioned MCP servers, and there's a lot of depth when it comes to how you leverage AI, especially let's say you're raising PRs using like a GitHub MCP. We're going to get to a point where everyone's using AI for more and more of the workload when it comes to specking up, deploying, testing. At the moment, we're working on a AI code review agent, so that becomes less of a bottleneck. So yeah, super interesting. So yeah, I guess the question is, does anyone want to share any tips and tricks of how they're using AI, or are we good? So, yeah.
Let's just pass the mic this time. So basically, recently, what I've started doing is, so I work for one of the companies who trains the AI model, and to do that, they have different steps. So you create the task, you do the baseline and everything. And one thing they're quite keen on is that every time you're telling something to the AI, try to use the positive outcomes and deterministic. That's something you can test rather than being vague. So maybe something like that can help when you are creating the HSMD to make sure that rather than saying what not to do, tell it exactly what you want it to do, which basically helps models understand, okay, this is what is expected from me, and then I'm going to implement it like this. So basically take a PR, do not let it change the test cases, you write the test cases, and ask it to build a solution which basically solves those, passes the test cases. So maybe something like that can help.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Hello. Thank you for the talk. Nice and concise. I wonder, in general, did your code review process change? Because, like, we had an instances where we installed code, the next day, 8,000 lines PR, refactoring every view model in the app.
So yeah, before I put some rules to it, yeah, it was just refactoring everything. It was pre-PR. I would never put a PR up like that because that's just ridiculous. But yeah, no, there was a few of those at the beginning, which is what drove me to kind of figure out a way to kind of hone it in and keep it the way that I wanted it to be. And since then it's worked quite well. It's not hallucinated as much anymore. And it's, yeah, something that I'm quite happy with.
But what about like, when somebody else has posted like a big PR, a lot of changes, etc.?
Yeah, that's a bit more difficult to go through from someone else's side. In the Android team, we do try and keep those things concise. I can't speak for the other teams here, but yeah, we try and keep those PRs small. And now that we've got our own rule set that we share amongst them, we don't have those bottlenecks in that sense. And as Moj was saying, we are trialing this Claude peer review tool, which also having AI to review AI is kind of both of them just saying, yeah, this is fine. But we're working out those kinks.
So I guess just to add to the AI review agent, so at the moment it's a Claude code command, which we have to run from our computer, and it kind of goes through 8 different parsers. So it looks at the code at different things. It looks at architecture, testing, code styling, and it's working against a certain rule set, and then it will post comments in line within the GitHub PR. So that's kind of V1, and then V2 will be having it as part of CI. But yeah, I think we're just kind of trying to figure out how we can introduce AI in different parts of the pipeline in a way that's independent, so that we don't risk, AI just judging AI on the same basis, right? So
Yeah, thanks.
Any other questions? Yeah? Okay. Thank you, Bilal, for the amazing talk.
Thank you.